All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about something called emotional materiality. We're going to uncover the secret power that everyday objects have over our feelings.
But let's kick things off with a real head-scratcher, something that gets right to the heart of this. Why on earth would a simple, empty wooden chair make grown adults break down and cry?
Well, the answer has a name: emotional materiality. It's this absolutely fascinating idea that inanimate objects, they aren't really inanimate. They can act like little containers, storing, carrying, and then boom, triggering our deepest collective feelings.
To make this super simple, just think about something like your grandma's old perfume bottle. The glass, the liquid inside, they're just things, right? But one whiff, and suddenly you're hit with this tidal wave of memories and feelings. The object itself becomes a physical trigger for emotion.
Okay, so keeping that idea in our back pocket, let's circle back to that mysterious chair. We're going to treat this as our first case study in what psychologists call projected feeling.
So this chair belonged to the one and only Edgar Allan Poe. It's kept in a library in Baltimore. It's just a plain wooden chair, but there's one really strict rule. Nobody is allowed to sit on it. And get this, people don't just look at it, they cry. They leave these little heartfelt notes, and yeah, even roses.
So what in the world is going on here? Well, researchers have a really compelling theory, and this quote just nails it. The chair acts like a proxy body. It becomes a stand-in, a stand-in for Poe himself, for the idea of loss, and for the shared collective grief. We project our own feelings of sorrow onto this thing, and in doing that, we feel connected.
Now let's take this a step further, because sometimes an object's power isn't about what's there, but what's painfully missing. This is when absence speaks way, way louder than words.
60, just look at that number. That is the number of pairs of iron shoes you'll find lined up on the bank of the Danube River. 60 pairs of shoes, just empty, right by the water.
This is a perfect, if heartbreaking, example of a concept called apophatic emotion. It's that powerful, chilling feeling that's triggered specifically by absence. Because there are no bodies to shoes, our minds can't help it. We're forced to fill in the horrifying missing story. That's the psychological gut punch that makes this memorial so unforgettable.
Okay, so we've seen these incredibly powerful examples. Now, let's switch gears and get into the how. Let's dive into the actual science of feeling to see what's happening inside your brain when you run into these objects. It turns out there are three main ways these objects hack our brains. First, you've got mirror neurons. When you see Poe's empty chair, part of your brain subconsciously mimics the posture of sitting in it, creating this weird empathetic link. Second, the narrative gap. Just like with the shoes, the less context you have, the faster your brain rushes to invent a story. And third, emotional contagion. You see other people getting teary-eyed, and it just multiplies the effect for everyone. It's literally contagious.
Now, let's just pause here, because the difference between those last two is super important. The narrative gap, that's an internal thing. It's your brain, all on its own, creating a story to fill in the blanks. Emotional contagion, on the other hand, is external. That's you picking up on the feelings of the people around you, which then cranks up your own feelings.
So here's where it gets really wild, and maybe a little unsettling. This isn't just some random thing that happens. It can be manufactured. And that brings us to our next section: how feelings are literally engineered by design.
Oh yeah, this whole understanding of emotional materiality, it's a marketing goldmine. Museums, memorials, even entire cities have figured out how to intentionally design what they actually call emotional spots or tear spots.
So, what's in their toolkit? How do they do it? Well, think about the last time you were in a really serious museum exhibit. Was the lighting kinda low? That's to create intimacy. Were the walkways narrow? That forces you to slow down. Was it maybe a little chilly? Colder temps actually make us want warmth, which encourages a psychological need for closeness. It is all by design.
And you might be wondering, does this stuff actually work? Oh yes, the results are stunning. In these emotionally engineered spaces, visitors will stay twice as long. And maybe the most surprising part, gift shop sales can jump by as much as 38%. Emotion, it turns out, translates directly into engagement and cash.
But here's the big twist. This isn't just a tool for creating sadness or serious moods. The exact same principles can be totally flipped on their head to engineer happiness and pure joy.
Get a load of this number, plus 22%. That's the real tourism boost some cities in Portugal saw after they started hanging these amazing colorful umbrellas over their streets. It created an Instagram explosion and basically a dopamine feedback loop for everyone who visited. It's a mood hack for an entire city.
So we've talked about museums, we've talked about memorials, but now let's bring this all back home. Let's talk about your emotional objects. It's your turn.
We're going to do a super quick 3-second feeling test. I'm going to flash a couple of images. Your only job is to not think, just feel. Notice which one pulls at you the most. You ready?
Okay, first up, a teddy bear left on a bench.
And next, a single glove in the snow.
Okay, so which one got you? The bear? The glove? Whichever it was, your brain just experienced that narrative gap, wrote a tiny story, and gave you a little jolt of emotion. You just felt emotional materiality happen in real time. And that brings us to the final thought here. This incredible, invisible power isn't just in museums or far-off memorials. It is all around us, all the time. So I'll leave you with this question. Take a look around your own room right now. What's your crying chair?